Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Top of the hour of 9 to you. It's Rapid Done right here on Rapid TV, and my name is Martha Alu.
And my name is Victor. Okay, welcome to the 9 o'clock hour, and of course it is time for the big conversation.
Yes, and today we're spotlighting Lagos State. Now, over the last 5 years, Lagos State has intensified its push to redefine itself as the 21st century mega city with aggressive investment in infrastructure, housing, transportation, and digital governance. Now, from the expansion of intra-city rail through the Blue Line to major road networks, housing schemes, healthcare upgrades, and growing digital backbone for governance, the state has commissioned and completed hundreds of projects across sectors, all within a rapidly expanding urban population now estimated at about 20 million people. Now, Lagos currently generates over 600 billion naira annually in internally generated revenue, positioning it as the fiscal engine of Nigeria, but also placing immense pressure on infrastructure, as we see in the recent talks between Nigeria and the United Kingdom, right. Fixing Tinkan and, you know, the Apapa Wharf. Yeah. So there's a lot of pressure on Lagos, especially when it comes to development, right? Yeah. And planning and service delivery. In just 5 years, the conversation has shifted from basic expansion to structured urban transformation, with digitization now emerging as the next frontier. Now, the latest move to enforce digital building permits and phase out manual processes signals a decisive shift towards transparency, efficiency, and regulatory control in the city where urban growth has now outpaced oversight. In fact, in the last couple of years, in literally almost every Nollywood movie, you don't make it anywhere else, but you're going to make it in Lagos State. So when they say, oh, I'm packing my bags and I'm going to Lagos, it just means I'm just going to where I know I'm going to get money. Success. Yeah. And that's not because Lagos in itself just has a way of giving you money. It's just because there are diverse opportunities because of the infrastructural development that has gone on in that state in the last couple of years. But you see, beyond these numbers, beyond these projects we're commissioning, beyond the ceremonies, the question will always be, are these projects translating into measurable improvement in the lives of Lagosians? The Blue Line or the Blue Rail was supposed to ease transportation pressure on Lagosians. But we see with the evolving of Das King Ella, we saw the complaints about Lagos Rail. So are these ceremonies or these commissionings, are they translating into the improvement of the lives of Lagosians? And is the system evolving fast enough to match the pace of the city itself? So this is the conversation we will be having this morning on the big conversation on Rapid Done. And to join us for this conversation today is Adeboyega Akosile, SSA on Media and Publicity, Lagos State. I don't know if we have him on the line already.
All right, I think he's going to be joining us just in a moment for the conversation. You know, but you did mention the fact that you took a leaf from the Nollywood movies. You know, growing up, we watched most of those movies, and of course, every moment you travel down to Lagos State, there's always something you definitely come back making it, you know, as a person. And again, that's because over the years, Lagos has become the economic hub of Nigeria. Almost every industry, almost every company has have their headquarters situated in Lagos State, and that on its own has to an extent, you know, made Lagos State again the economic hub of Nigeria. Now, not just Nigeria, it has also become the Silicon Valley of Africa.
I do some part of me knew you were going to mention that.
Definitely we'll go there. Because again, look at the innovations coming from the tech industry. If you get into Lagos State, you see a massive development there in that particular sector. But the challenge is that it is becoming so
densely
overcrowded.
populated.
You know, because why again would we choose Lagos State alone to put the headquarters of every sector there? I mean, if companies do not have the headquarters in Lagos State, it just seems like you've not started. It just seems like you're not playing in the big league yet. But we have the FCT. We have states like River State. You know, we have Akwa Ibom State. We have the Cross River State, and these are cities and states that actually also has, you know, those potential to ensure that growth can actually happen in these cities. The question again is why Lagos State? And many have argued that because Lagos was one time, you know, the capital of Nigeria before it was being moved to the FCT. But I think beyond that, we can actually do a whole lot more better to ensuring that we can diversify and find a way to decongest Lagos State to ensure that every other part of the country.
Even when the CBN took some of their departments to back to Lagos State. I do understand what you mean. And because of these industries being represented there, the place is becoming densely populated. If some of these industries can be relocated to other cities, it doesn't have to be. And what are the characteristics of a major city? Is some of these hub opportunities, business opportunities, job opportunities existing there. So we can reposition some of these industries there, just so that we can make those others, we can make every city a business, we can make every city boom economically by just relocating some big economic activities over there. Lagos State, and aside that, I think that there is a spirit that just propels you when you see everyone around you. I was watching a video recently that said you become a product of your environment, and the person was just going as far to say, if you go to a market where they sell just fish, in a matter of time, it's just a matter of time, when you get out of that place, you start to smell like that. If you go to a restaurant where food is being prepared, in a matter of time, you just be smelling like that. And so he used that to say that everybody becomes a product of their environment. So for Lagos State, there is that hustling spirit that you see there all the time. So you can't even slack in any way because your neighbor is out working 3 jobs just so that he can meet up. And do you know the funny thing? Sometimes they do those jobs just because they want to ball. So how can a city that is so serious, filled with a lot of economic activities, still be so bubbly as well? So I would say the balance happens over in Lagos State. I don't know if we have the SSA joining us this morning. He's supposed to be on this conversation just so that we can talk about, Lagos State and some of the projects that are being commissioned recently, because the president last week went over to Lagos State to commission a number of projects over there. So yes, we will go on a very short break just so we get our guests back in. Excited about this conversation already because, we just might also be dragging the entire Lagos and Abuja, who's more, developed than the other. But yeah, we'll go out on a very short break, and when we get back, we'll keep up the conversation. Please stay with us. Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us. Our guest is on the line now. We have Mr. Adeboyega Akosile, and he is the SSA on media, to the governor on media and publicity, Lagos State. Welcome, and thanks for joining us on the show this morning.
I'm happy to join you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yes, we have been, we were just singing the praise of Lagos State before you went out. We're talking about how we'd see in almost every Nigerian movie that when you go to Lagos State, you're definitely going to make it in Lagos State. We're just talking about that. Should we come over to Lagos State? Maybe myself and Victor might just be looking at relocating to join you.
Well, thank you very much. It goes without saying, Lagos is the commercial nerve center of Nigeria, is the heartbeat of the nation when it comes to economy. It is a place where commerce, trade, and all that you need to have to survive is happening. And it's not just for Nigeria, because we don't even benchmark ourselves with other states in the country anymore. The benchmark is sub-Saharan Africa, because Lagos is is between 4th and 5th largest economy in the whole of Africa. What does that mean? If Lagos were to be a country, just like Ghana is a country, Togo is a country, Cameroon is a country. If Lagos were to be a country, it would be the 5th largest economy in Africa. But you see, we are not a country, we are a subnational.
There the pride kicking in. There the pride kicking it. We see it.
Nigeria. So, and that's why everything that you think good, that will make people enjoy great ease of life, is happening in Lagos State. So if you are in the entertainment industry and you have not come to Lagos, I think you're just scratching on the surface. You have not really started. And that's why, almost all the entertainers, they come down to Lagos. If you are in sports, no matter how good or how brilliant or how talented you are, you have to come down to Lagos. And that's where your talent will be identified and will be harnessed by those who are looking for great sports people. And yeah, that's it. If you're in business, does it not surprise you that a Dangote will leave Kano and come to Lagos to come and do business in Lagos State? Does it not surprise you that Alhaji Rabiu will leave Kano and come to set up his head office in Lagos State? Does it not surprise you that all the major banks in Nigeria will leave wherever the founders, were originally and come to Lagos? And the reason is because Lagos is the place to be. Lagos is where, and it's because there is good governance in Lagos.
Let's hold a bit.
We'll get to governance just in a moment, all right? Because you've talked about a lot about the beautiful things in Lagos State. Lagos, of course, faces this situation of congestion, right? Is coming back to Lagos State, you mentioned all of the artists, entertainers, sports people, everyone who wants to get into business and wants to make it in Nigeria. Then, of course, marketed that Lagos State is the place to be. And very recently, certain commissioning has happened, and one of the talks there is that the reason for this commissioning, especially when it comes to the roads, the Okwebi, the Mende, the Ojota, Maryland linked bridge, was commissioned to decongest the road. Now, can you categorically state that since these roads were commissioned, that the road decongestion has started to happen?
Okay, road decongestion, you mean there is congestion in Lagos?
Exactly.
The bridges that were constructed are supposed to decongest the whole traffic situation going on in Lagos. Do you think that has started to happen?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, let me take you back. Thank you for that question. Let me take you back to 7 or 8 years ago when we were running for this position. My boss, when we were running, we ran on 5 or 6 pillars, and among those pillars, we call the themes plus agenda. Number 1 of those themes agenda is traffic management and transport.
Hello.
I guess the network is terrible. Yeah. I might just want to throw a bit of shade over there, but no, let's just let it go. I don't know if he can hear us. Mr. Debo Boyega, are you still on the line?
Because we recognize the need of Lagosians. We recognize that Lagosians.
Oh, no.
I can hear you.
Okay. All right, go ahead, please.
Can you see me?
Yes, we can. It was breaking a bit, but please go on. We can hear you.
Okay, so we ran on Themes Plus agenda, and number 1 of the Themes Plus agenda, which is a T, is traffic management and transportation. And for the traffic management, we inherited a state that was locked down by huge amount of traffic, and people were losing man hours. People were not, the productive hours that people needed to use to make more money for themselves and for the state's GDP to increase, we were losing it in traffic. So one of the very first things that we tackled was traffic situation. And I can tell you right now that traffic situation has improved significantly in Lagos. But you see, if you are thinking that traffic will go away in Lagos State, you will be, you will not really be speaking, the truth. But what we have done is to ensure that there is movement across the length and breadth of the city. And that's why I see that the governor invested heavily in rail transportation. We have blue line and the red line, working, and the 2 rail transportation, systems. They're moving close to 1 million people every day. Close to 1 million people every day. And then we now have different, bridges across the length and breadth of the city of Lagos. So I would say that traffic situation has significantly improved in Lagos State.
What's the data like? You mentioned, of course, that you're moving about 1 million people on a daily basis, but going back to the 80s that it took us from, what is the data like? How has it really realistically improved?
So I may not have, in terms of figures or baseline or empirical data to give to you in terms of numbers, but I can tell you safely that when you move close to 1 million people to and fro their places of work and their homes, you have reduced a lot of pressure on the road for other road users, and that's why we are experiencing some free flow of movements on the road now, because before the rail services, and of course, again, not just the rail services, the water transportation. The Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu invested heavily on water transportation, and that again has really helped the movement of people. And I must tell you something: Lagos is a victim Lagos is a victim of its progress. As much as we move people, as much as we try to solve a problem, a lot more people are coming into the state.
Okay.
A lot more.
Okay.
We have about 3,000 people coming in every day without going back. And we can't say they should not go back. These are, Nigerians. And these are people who want to contribute to the growth of our economy. And we welcome everybody. And
How can you, Mr. Adeboyega,
look,
Mr. Adeboyega, why is it such
Yeah.
an admirable thing that, everyone wants to be in Lagos State because of the boosting of economic activities that happen within the state? You would also agree that the fact that it is densely populated makes certain things eminent in the city, and I'll talk about, you would see levels of crime within the city, and I know you would want to point that out to say it is the same within every other city, but you see that in Lagos State as well. You'd see all sort of crime in the state, and one of the reasons will be the fact that it is densely populated. How does the management and the government of Lagos State plan on managing this population and managing the activities that are happening within the state?
So thank you very, very much for the question.
All right.
Crime is a global thing.
So
Yeah, whether we like it or not, there will always be crime. And that is why we have security agencies at crime. Now, but I can tell you safely and comfortably, you are a media person, Lagos is one of the safest cities in Nigeria. In Nigeria, I don't want to benchmark it with other African countries, but in Nigeria, we are the safest place for you to.
Well, yes, we agree that we might have not heard kidnappings, but we have heard cases of brutality. In fact, one of the major places that the NSAS protest actually went on was in Lagos State, the Lekki toll gate and all of that. We heard all of that in Lagos State. We had heard how last mile officials would chase people into the ditch, how people are being shot and all of that. Yes, Lagos have not had cases of kidnappings reported, or communities being ravaged by jihadists or extremists or what have you. But there are certain crimes that are eminent within the city. And how would you manage that when you have such a large population within Lagos? There are people you meet in Lagos today that you might never ever meet again. Truly. Because of how populated the city is. So the concern is, how would you, and it will still keep growing. By virtue of this deal that has that the UK government and Nigeria has gotten into now, and Apapa and Tinkan is being fixed. Be rest assured that more people will be employed, which means that there will be opportunities for more people to apply into the city. So we are looking at more people relocating from where they are into the city of Lagos. Many times you hear people say that, do you know, if you are doing this thing you are doing here in Lagos, you are going to do it better, or you're going to make it better there. So we still have that narrative flying all around, which means that the city has the possibility of it being even more populated than it already is.
And he made mention of something. He said Lagos is a victim of its own progress. And then he went on to bring a selective data where he said about 3,000 people get into Lagos every single day, and most of those people wouldn't want to go back, to the various cities as it is. Now, Lagos is not such a big place as it is, but it's just too congested right now. I mean,
because of the value that it holds.
Yeah, we agree that Lagos has its own values, and most times when they get to this point of values, especially when it comes to economic values, we want to pin it as well on the government. It's now high time that they get to decentralize all of this, and as much as possible intentionally develop other cities in Nigeria. Again, I mentioned the FCT, of course. I mentioned Rivers State. I mentioned Akwa Ibom State. Some southern regions, as it is. If you get out to Lagos as well, the Mowe axis of Lagos State, which is around the Ogun State axis, is just a stone throw to Lagos State.
What about the northern states?
Well, the northern state is also there. These are important places to develop. And they also have good natural resources.
The northern states also, and you know why I say that? Northern states also should have those things relocated there, because maybe now we can now be a lot more serious with the security situations there. If important facilities are there, we will do whatever it takes to protect those facilities there. Okay. But because the concentration is not in, we don't have it sparsely distributed among regions. Yeah. We don't have it sparsely distributed among regions. We just have it centered in a place. And a prototype of this is what you even see happening in the city of Abuja, where most of the MDAs and the departments are located in situated in a particular place, where other parts of the city are being ignored. It is just now exactly. We see places like Lugbe developing, Lokogoma, places like Kuje now coming up on the map, or people talking about it. If we can't do that for the city of Abuja, you know, let's start with decongesting these industries. Take some to Kuje, take some to Lugbe, so that the population we see within certain areas would reduce, and housing can even become affordable like that. But we'll go out on a very short break now, just so that we can get on with Mr. Adeboyega to keep up this conversation. Please stay with us. Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us. We seem to have lost our connection with our guest, you know, on the show, been working to re-establish that. However, we will take a closer look at the digital building permit that is part of the commissionings that had happened in Lagos State recently. You know, one of the major issues, especially when it comes to building permits, is the time and the bureaucracy that is involved in the entire process. And in some other cases, corruption as well. And when I got to hear of this newly improved parameter to curb that out, I was thinking, to a large extent, it will cut out majorly the time that people will take before they get the building permit. And now we have a more digitized system of doing things. And honestly, it is one of the gospels that we've been preaching the whole time. Let us move from a manual system of doing things. Now, do you know the effect of this? We waste a lot of time, or we spend a lot of time that we could have used in doing more meaningful things. Like the recent circular that was released by INEC, where they were talking about revalidation of voters. You see, that became a problem because we don't have a standardized data system already within the INEC sector that could have just allowed for quick imputing and deleting of files within this system. So if we are able to do this now we can know the number of buildings that are in Lagos State. We can know when newer buildings emerge. We can now be able to check if the buildings are up to standard, you know. I think it's a welcome development. Yeah,
it should be a welcome development.
It should, okay. You know? I like it.
But the question that comes to mind is, how prepared are they for it? Because taking, doing a quick juxtaposition again between this digital permit, and what INEC did when it comes to revalidation, what I saw was that they were not so ready at that point in time. The question is, how ready is the Lagos State government for this digital permit?
I don't doubt them. I don't doubt them, because we have seen, Victor, Lagos has a real system. The FCT does not.
Well,
exactly. Lagos has a BRT lane. The FCT does not. So you have major relaxation spots. Do you see what happens in Lagos State in December? People from all over the world. Lagos is starting to get the kind of recognition that the Bahamas will get. Maybe that's overstretching our but yes, Lagos is starting to become the choice destination for some people's vacation. Take away the security situation here in Nigeria, which is one of they generalize it, you know. People out there don't think it is a particular city in Nigeria that happens in. Once they say there's insecurity, they just say there's insecurity in Nigeria. Even though some parts experienced some peace relatively, right? But Lagos State in December is crowded.
And there's a reason for that.
Airbnbs crowded, hotels fully booked in Lagos State.
It's true, because Lagos State is the most popular state in Nigeria. As a matter of fact, some persons in the diaspora actually still refers to Lagos like they think that Lagos is the country, not even Nigeria.
I don't think it is the most popular, Victor. I think that
it's the most
it's
popular state in Nigeria. So that's the point I'm trying to make, and that is I think that is true, anyways. You know, but again, I talked about the level of preparedness, and you've countered that, and to an extent, yes, I might agree with you as well. But we will get to see really how prepared they are, you know, eventually, once all of this has begun to work. Because again, this was made effect on the 1st of April, which is of course this month, 2026. Again, developers, building landlords as well, their feedback, you know, on these particular matters as well will also determine how far these individuals will go. In simpler words, implementation is key when it comes to this as well. Yes, I love the idea. You know, it is supposed to be, it is a beautiful idea. You know, if it is properly implemented, there are a lot of solutions going to be brought into the housing sector. You know, we get to find out, just like you stated, we get to find out how many houses, you know, how structurally valuable that these houses can as well be in the city of Lagos. Good one, if you ask me. But again, implementation is the key word. Can they maintain the proper implementation? Are they really prepared to carry out these particular projects in this time and era? Again, because this administration, they are actually working towards, you know, getting out of this particular sector right now. They are working towards concluding their administration. And in this part of the world, the phrase or aphorism, government is a continuum, you know, does not really work so well for us. What that means is that many other person who comes into power abandons the project of the previous.
But if you're saying this about some other states, you know, I would agree. But for Lagos State, we have seen some level of admirable, should I say, continuance in government in Lagos State. Ambode, Fashola came, did his, stopped where he could. Ambode came, carried on. Now Babajide Sanwo-Olu is on doing what he can. So at every point, the most important thing is, see, why we have such a big issue when it comes to continuity in governance is because it's as though when this person becomes president, the other person emerges. We look better here than we are here. So that's why the issue is like that.
In retrogression.
But in Lagos State, it is better than what the last person left it as.
It's also arguable, again, because people that live in Lagos State also have different stories to tell.
Okay. And when I say better, remember, we are not talking yet about how this influences the lives of the people within Lagos State.
But that's the key.
But we're talking about the policies. Policies, and I'll give you one example.
Okay.
We have been battling the matter of unreasonable increase, an unfair increase of rent here in the FCT. We were here talking about it when Lagos State said no landlord can increase the rent beyond 20% and after 2 years. That was what was said in Lagos. We're still in the FCT. As a matter of fact, my rent is increased almost 100% as we speak. So when you are trying to juxtapose that with another city, you would see how that happens, how things are being done there, and how things are being done in other parts of of Nigeria. You see, so in Lagos State, most times why people don't doubt that is you see some level of development there. Yes, we know that the BRT buses had such an issue late last month and early this month, where the case of the buses not being available, then after someone called that out, it became available and then it wasn't available again. You see, so we have this case, but this is a management problem. The people that are being put in the managing and the running of these things. So the major issue here for me would be, or the major concern, not issue here, would be the ability to manage this to benefit the people of Lagos State, not whether or not it will be done at all, because they have proven to implement their project. And one major thing I think this will cover out as well is this whole issue of you are not building where you are supposed to build. Remember what happened in the Lagos-Calabar coastal highways, where multi-million-dollar businesses were demolished, you know, and were relocated. We had it was such a big issue at the time. Now, with this building permit, when you have proof that the government permitted you to set up a structure where it is. When it wants to be brought down, there's a system of accountability, and the government now knows that they owe you compensation for bringing down a building that they had given permit for to be established. So I think that just solves that problem, and investor confidence returns again in Lagos State, which means that it will grow bigger than it already is, and it will be much more populated.
Well, in time to come, we'll get to see how that actually translates to the development of the city, and of course, again, to the livelihood of those that live in Lagos State. For me, that's what I'm basically looking out for. I wish we were able to conclude the conversation with the SSA. Honestly, would have been more interesting. But of course, let's wrap it off. Yeah, of course. Any final thoughts? Well, that's it. But yeah, we would have loved to have Mr. Akosile Adeboyega join us for the conversation. However, we'd have to exit now. And just to remind you, we are active across social media platforms. On Facebook, on Instagram, and on X, it is at official RapidTV. And on our YouTube page, on those social media, it is at RapidTV. On the YouTube, it is at official RapidTV. And www.rbnradiotv.com allows you to connect with us from anywhere in the world. My name is Martha Alu. And my name is Victor. Okay, we'll see you tomorrow.